Right. So,
Yeah.
okay. Alan, if you want to bring up the slides, we're gonna talk the Suicide Squad.
Here
We've been
we go.
talking about
Finally,
we've been
finally.
talking about it, and we're gonna finally talk about it. So, um, it's in theaters now. It's on HBO Max. It's the I don't know, like you say, maybe sequel to or cap of a trilogy. If nothing else, is a sequel to the original Suicide Squad. Most of the characters that we're familiar with in the first one are not returning in any meaningful way other than Harley Quinn. And I saw it in theaters. Sounds like you two saw it at home.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And Andrea, what'd you think?
Um, so overall, I enjoyed the movie. It's hard. I'm gonna try and like stay away for now from comparing it to Suicide Squad, like saying like, oh, I enjoyed it more than like I'm just trying to like look at it as its own thing. I did enjoy the movie. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely like appropriately rated for like what the Suicide Squad should be, which is like it's a bunch of, villains. And thank God Harley Quinn didn't. Sorry, I'm already breaking my rule. Thank God Harley Quinn didn't say we're the bad guys like 60,000 times in this movie. But they are the bad guys. And it's, they need room to just be like bad people doing bad things and killing a bunch of people because that's who they are. So I thought this movie was a lot of fun, much more appropriate for our main cast of characters. And we got a little bit less exposition and more just like dive into what's happening. So I really appreciated that. I thought there were a few pacing issues, a couple of issues, I think, where um, I don't know if it was Gunn or a writer or a combo of both kind of struggled with some of the more like moments where maybe you should have been more serious or a little bit more emotional. And it was like, oh, like I really want to fast forward through this so I can get back to like the fun parts. So those were I think a little awkward for me, but overall a really great job. And like the main cast like really held this movie together well.
Shane?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie. I got exactly, honestly, what I expected of you know, the director and the well, he's the writer and director, so of both of that one party in both contexts. And I thought now having seen the original Suicide Squad again, not trying to compare the two, but
Mhm.
um, the the characterization of the returning characters was done way better.
Mhm.
And like you had probably three times as many characters being introduced in like less than a tenth of the time. And I didn't feel like any of the characters needed more
Yeah.
introduction. Like these are all wacky, zany characters. Yes, they're the bad guys. Yes, I expect many of them to die. And that is what happened. Like, and
Mhm.
it was well timed. It was I I will agree that there was probably there was a little bit some poor pacing
Mhm.
narratively at certain points of the movie, or just like interesting kind of jumps from
Mhm.
one scene to the next with just like a little tag like meanwhile this was going, or something like that. And it did kind of feel like to kind of cut its own legs out from under itself or of the where it was going or the pace that it was at or whatever. But the next scene that you saw was like, I'm okay with that because this next scene is either hilarious or awesome or whatever.
Yep.
And like, I was excited to see what was coming up next. So I didn't really care that we were jumping from one awesome, hilarious, or violently, comically gory scene to another. Like it was fine because I knew that where we were going next was going to be just as great. So, um, yeah, that was my takeaway.
I I really, really liked it. Can't I don't really have any complaints.
Mm.
Other than I thought it's completely ridiculous that Harley Quinn takes her legs, wraps around a guy's neck, and just whoop, I'm just gonna pull myself up here and twist his neck. Like, okay, that's not happening. Even though it was a
Did
cool
you read my
scene.
comment on that in the notes?
A Xenia, like a Xenia on the top moment.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That was like the
Yes.
first thing I thought of. I was like, oh my God. It's Famke Janssen, and she's having a little like,
Oh my
my
God, that
thighs
was
are
Famke
weapons.
Janssen, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Wow.
Right.
I went old school for that one, digging deep
Yeah.
in the Bond archives.
I totally forgot about that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Really? Oh man, she's classic. That movie. Okay, I don't want to derail,
Well, I
but
forgot her. I just forgot that she played Xenia.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. Yep.
But yeah, that was the first thing I
Xenia
thought
on
of.
the
I was
top.
like, oh man, this is happening right now. Thighs are weapons again.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I don't have any, like, maybe I need to see it again, but just like trying now. I didn't think about it critically as I watched it. Like, it happened nicely,
Mm.
went by well, and I was entertained enough that didn't like myself didn't get taken out of it to think about it super critically. I
Sure.
just thought it was a really fun roller coaster ride. I like what you said, Shane, where it took way less time to
Yeah.
introduce us to way more characters, and we didn't need to know more than that. We didn't need to like detour the whole film to go to someone's apartment to see their troubled family life. We can learn about these characters as you do as a good storyteller. You learn about these characters as you go through the film. You
Mhm.
know, you learn more about them. I thought the movie was hilarious in a number of scenes. Seeing Polka Dot Man, he's on screen now. Seeing his mom everywhere never got old. I thought that was great. Um, I thought the taking out the camp of people,
Mhm.
and
That
then
was so
like,
much
oh,
fun.
hey, these were the freedom fighters here. That was great. And like the little competition that they had with one another there, and like John Cena just being weird in his tidy whities, and
Yeah.
the King Shark being adorable, at times. And then we'd have poignant moments somehow, like with King Shark going and making his like little friends in the
Mhm.
aquarium is like a sweet moment. And like the music plays well there. And then of course later they're trying to kill him, like it. I just really thought it was a good movie.
Mhm.
Um I don't it hit all the right places. Harley Quinn felt the most Harley Quinn in this of all the
Mhm.
things. The idea that she would sleep with the president and then like, I don't really like this element about you, so then I'm going to shoot you, and then
Mhm.
says exactly what I'm thinking, that there's a bullet in that gun, like in the display case. Okay. I thought, yeah, I don't know. Tell me why I'm wrong. I didn't see anything I didn't like about it. Every and then like the rat catcher too.
Mhm.
I thought that was Taika Waititi, her as her dad at first, and
Mhm.
Yes.
then
Mhm.
Yep.
revealed later that it was. And that poignant moment again at the end, like, because why rats, Dad? Because if rats can make a difference, then everyone can, or anyone can,
Mhm.
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 like those pieces, made me care about the characters. Um, I don't know. I just liked it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
since you mentioned the silently storming the freedom fighters camp and murdering everybody scene, I did think that, and this is kind of a comment on the pacing of the movie too, to some extent, is my sort of the one thing that I wasn't really certain about was so with regards to at least that scene and maybe several others, the attempt at kind of a long comedy bit, at the expense of narrative believability. And what that means is that, like, at least me watching it, I felt that, um, when that scene was done and they kind of walk into the final hut and Flag is sitting there
Yep.
with the leader and they're like, "Oh, what are you guys doing here?" And we're like, "Oh, we just murdered everybody." And then the leader's like, "Oh, okay, I guess you're my new friends. Like, I was sort of like, well, these were like people and like they just died. And I feel like she'd be more torn up about that and not want to partner with these people now. But
Mhm.
I don't know. So, but it was a funny joke, and I was okay. I get it. It was humorous that they were competing against each other and whatever, and now they're remorseful to some extent, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's my question. What do you think about those elements in this movie where it was like clearly they kind of like sacrificed I don't know, maybe some more, I guess, gravitas in terms of the narrative for like a fart joke or like a joke just to whatever. I guess what I'll say about it is I think it typically doesn't work, and maybe they get a little bit of a pass for this type of movie just because it's so comically over the top
Mhm.
in the right way that it sort of works. But I think like it's a real dangerous spot to go narratively or to like take a movie into, because I feel like it could really quickly just sort of become too hokey in a way. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you, and don't necessarily think it's even just like um comedy getting sacrificed for believability. I think this movie in particular does a lot of build up and rug pulling,
Mhm,
and I think that there's a moment towards the end where I just think it gets used one too many times, and it just sort of gets like, yeah, but like, am I ever gonna care about anything because you keep like pulling the rug out from under me?
mhm,
You know what I mean? Like, so there is a danger, I think, in either um like using anything too many times or being too over the top too many times where it does sort of like pull you out. Um, and I definitely get what you're saying about that scene because I was very much into like that whole competition between Bloodsport and Peacemaker and being like, "Oh my god, they keep killing people in ever more ridiculous ways." And I
mhm,
and
yeah,
I am like, I'm with it. It's super funny. And I
mhm,
was I was all in for it cuz like we're killing a camp of bad guys. Like this is great. It's super funny. They're just like, eyeballing the shit out of each other.
mhm.
And then it was like, "Oh shit, we just killed like a bunch of our allies." Like, and Rick Flag was like, "What are you doing?" And you're right, like the leader of this guerrilla camp was just sort of like looking around at people whose guts were literally hanging out, and all she could muster was like a head shake.
Yeah,
It was just like, oh, like now I'm deflated a little bit because I just had this like really fun time, and you just sort of like yanked the rug and said like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't think that was fun anymore."
right.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly uh that certainly all makes sense. I think that for whatever reason it works for me. Yeah, given the type of film I think
Sure.
is pretty unique.
Mhm, mhm,
That it's so I'm probably lacking the right words to describe it, but like you said, Andrew, with the rug pulling, like anytime someone often they get their moment, then would
Mhm.
be like taken from them. Like it's like polka dot guy. He's like, fine, I'm a
Mhm.
hero, dead.
Bam. Yeah.
mhm.
Yep. And and it again goes to like the tongue in cheek, this is supposed to be completely ridiculous kind of
Mhm.
romp where Harley Quinn pulls a antique gun out of a case and there's a round in it and she admits like, why was there a bullet in this? I can't believe there was.
Mhm.
Those
Mhm.
kinds of things, like admitting the unbelievable nature of this. Even like it's always those like expectations or doing something a little different. Like the group is going to rescue Harley Quinn and she breaks herself out and she's right there and they were setting up the whole plan or whatever.
Mhm.
I think it's a lot of ludicrous, and you're right, in a different film none of that would make
Mhm.
sense. None of
So
this would make sense.
yeah, and I feel like this is a good point to interject a little bit of the original Suicide Squad thing, just because I just watched it, and this is one of the comparisons I made, that like being that they're essentially the same, contextually this same movie, right? Like the same team of anti-heroes or whatever. Like the original one took itself way too seriously, and
Mhm.
Yep.
so it failed where this movie like very much succeeds because it knows what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, look at Michael Rooker at the beginning. He's
Mhm,
set up as like he's this badass, right? He's stoic. He doesn't say the words hardly. He's really good with that ball, and he kills the bird, so he's hardcore. And
mhm,
he's being brought in, expert. And then they get to the beach, and he sees everybody, and they're like, God, what amateurs? He's manages to save the person, pull him out of the water. Everybody else is just gonna leave the weasel.
mhm,
God, what a bunch of fools. And then the shit hits the fan, and he just turns the other way and starts screaming and running helplessly into the
Mhm.
water. Like,
mhm,
just whatever your expectations were of him, they
mhm,
are gone, and he's used as a joke. Like,
Yeah.
so many of them are used as a punchline at some point, and that's all they are. And you can't take them more seriously than that. And if you do, then yeah, then you're in for like disappointment, because
Mhm.
the realistic thing would, yeah, be for the like freedom fighter leader to like break down crying and like be in dread of these people, we flee or something like that.
Mhm.
And her family's just been killed and everything, but it's just not like everything is for a joke,
mhm,
Mhm.
basically. Which I'm surprised why I still felt moments of like, I don't know, some sort of emotion in all the fray of chaos, I don't
mhm,
know.
Yeah, I guess for me it was just like I said, it was one too many of those for me. I really liked, I want to say like probably 85 to 90% of it, and then by the end I was like a little like, can I like care about anything? You know what I mean? Like even like when you were
mhm,
talking earlier about King Shark, Nanawe meeting those like little jelly dudes, and he's like, "Oh, friends," and it's like this cute little
Mhm.
moment, and I was like, "Oh my god, it is so cute. He has like little fish friends now." And then like the second I thought it, I was like, "Yeah, this is probably gonna like turn bad though." So I was like taken out of it because I was like, I probably shouldn't enjoy this because they're like somehow this is gonna get turned like either he's gonna care about them and then like they're gonna get blown up and he's gonna be really sad about it, or like they did, like they were evil little like turds who just like tried to turn on him and eat him.
mhm,
They were literally just like massing on him, and I was like, oh well, see, there you go. That's why I shouldn't have enjoyed that. And like like most of the way through, I really enjoyed it, and then by the end, I was like, can I just have like one thing be fine and normal and like it's fine? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, you got one thing. You got blood sport, growing as a person, getting a little less afraid of rats, petting the
That
rat,
was cute. That
and
was
his
cute.
daughter seeing him
Finally.
on television like that's my dad, being having a
Although
proud moment in
Although,
that.
yes. Okay, so I'm gonna agree with you totally about Sebastian the rat because that was adorable and I was really excited about that. I don't agree about his daughter though, because like she was in there for like 2 minutes and they were screaming like fuck you at each other. And that was another scene where I was just like, I don't know. It felt like clunky to just have
mhm.
them
Mhm.
like screaming at each other for like 2 minutes as loud as they could, just like the same words back and forth. And I was like, cool, but now he cares about his daughter. Like, I don't know. It like
Well,
that
she
that
cares.
that
Yeah.
I
yeah,
feel
that
like
Yeah.
the
part that
daughter,
part to me was just like a little clunky.
yeah,
Like could have somehow been worked in better because it was almost like a weird like I'm not dead shot, but I am dead shot a little
mm,
bit with my whole daughter dynamic, you
mhm.
know. So I don't know.
Like you could have just not had the daughter.
Yeah, just didn't even need to be
You
a
had the
thing
rat.
there.
You had him overcoming his fear of rats.
Yeah.
You didn't need the
Yeah,
daughter in
but
there.
you saw it, like he kind of like treated Ratcatcher too, sort of like his daughter. You sort
But,
of
Mhm,
like, that
saw
could have
her
been
there,
yeah, that
and
could have
so
been
that
the
a bit
whole,
of
like,
growth.
growing human emotion, like, all of that. Like, I just didn't even need, like, that subplot in there. just like a few, like one example of like the very few moments I thought were a bit
Mhm.
clunky in the film.
Well, you can't cast an actor like Idris Elba and not give him something to you know something to work with. You got to give him a scene
Yeah.
or two where you can show his range.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I feel like.
Yeah.
Maybe
Hey, showed
So
range acting with a CGI rat. Like he can do anything.
it's true. The same reason you have him taking off his helmet in every other scene because like you can't hire an actor like that and have him under a mask during the
Mm.
entire movie unless you're Judge Dredd and Carl Urban.
or Pedro Pascal and Mandalorian.
But even
Oh
his
yeah.
mask came off eventually.
I
Yeah.
know they come out, but like yeah. No, I mean you want the connection, there with a
Mhm.
person's face for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm, mhm,
None of them leave
Well,
their
it's like the same
masks on.
reason Deadshot really didn't wear his whole ton because he's Will Smith. Like you hired Will Smith, you better be Will Smith in this movie.
mhm. Yeah, you're gonna get your money's worth. What the hell was with the Peacemaker's helmet? What is that?
The toilet seat.
Toilet bowl,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the toilet bowl. That was great.
I don't know. I mean, y- I like, that's the thing, these characters come from somewhere and you can look at a lot of DC characters and Marvel characters too, and you think that's a real character.
Mhm,
Someone wrote that, or
mhm.
drew
Mhm.
that, and that's supposed to be a serious foil to Batman or someone.
Right.
You know, it's like all the dropouts. Oh, there's
Mhm.
who's the Flash is going against this time? The
Yeah.
Reverse Flash. Oh
Mhm,
wow, creative, and so they're ridiculous, a lot of these people. And so to see them finally in the setting where they're treated ridiculously
Mhm.
makes
mhm.
sense if you're going to use these characters as opposed to, yeah, the first one that's this dark brooding thing that, wants to be a more hip hop version of The Dark Knight,
Mhm.
you know, with characters that, short of a few of them,
Mhm.
Deadshot or whatever, like those could be made serious. Same as Bloodsport. Like there's a few in there that could be done seriously, but
Yeah,
Ratcatcher and
I quite enjoyed Peacemaker's ensemble. It was definitely like homemade. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just so like did you just pull on some like rubber cleaning gloves and like rubber rain boots over your khakis and,
Mhm.
like I don't know what the hell is going on with this helmet, but like it's clearly not like high tech, you know,
Mhm.
whatever. It's just like something you made in metal shop or whatever. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I enjoyed that part of his like there wasn't a whole lot of try in this costume. Whereas like blood sports is clearly like somehow like
Yeah,
super high
advanced.
tech, state of the art crazy.
Mhm.
And can I say thank goodness for someone standing up and hitting that bitch in the side of the head.
That
I
was
am
hilarious
so
with that golf club that she was
I
using to practice putting earlier. That was hilarious.
yeah,
Oh,
what's her name again?
Amanda
Lila
Waller.
Yeah,
Davis or
Waller.
Amanda Waller.
Oh my god. I hate her in the first one. I hate her in the second one. I get like what she's I get you're dealing with bad people. You're dealing with people that have killed many people and all this stuff. So like why do I care about them or whatever? But
Mhm.
when you're having them do something good, something powerfully is the idea, then yeah, I don't know. You just like she is insufferable to me and
Mhm.
she's just so awful. So she plays the role to a T because man, I hate
Yeah.
her.
I love Viola Davis. Like she is amazing. And I'm not gonna lie. I was with Waller in the whole like the weasel was drowning and she just like hard side eyes everybody around her. And I was like, yep, I feel that. Like, I'm with you
No
here.
one checked if he could swim.
Right? And she just like side eyes the guy and I was just like, yeah, yeah. But yeah, she was like a lot more over the top, I felt like in this one. Her like anger at the Suicide Squad
Mhm.
was just like intense, and I just liked her very much less. In the first one, I felt like at least she was a very remote, cool presence. Like she was just like, I'm in charge, whatever, I got this. And then this one, there was like a lot more emotion in it.
She just felt dull in the first one, though. So I felt like they were trying to add more character to her here.
Everything
Yeah.
felt
Uh,
dull in the first one.
Yes.
oh, come on now.
We could talk about
There's
how much I hated
I
that
like
movie.
when they're like jumping in the pit of ooze and stuff, you know, and they're falling
Uh,
slow motion and the music's going nice and
oh, you mean the side story that had nothing to do with
yeah,
anything?
Yeah.
yeah.
The
The
part, the
the
part,
part where
the actual parts of the movie. Okay, I'll give you that, John. I did kind of like the Harley Quinn Joker side plot thing that happened in the original. I think that was
Mm.
maybe the only appealing part of that entire movie. It was the Lakeland
okay,
bits, and that was
okay. Yeah.
For me,
yeah. Okay,
honestly,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
okay,
with you.
okay.
Apparently they shot way more Joker Harley stuff. That's why
Uh-huh.
everybody
Well,
wants the
yeah.
Ayer cut, you know, or
Oh
not
God.
everybody. That's why 3 people want
Some
the Ayer
people.
cut, you know.
Okay, I don't know that I want it, but I would be interested in seeing it, like seeing what
I would
else was
watch it,
shot.
yeah.
Like I would watch it just to be like, what did you think about this movie or whatever? But I was gonna say for the first Suicide Squad, I really enjoyed actually Will Smith and Margot Robbie's interactions, like Deadshot and
Mm,
Harley's like asides. I
There
felt like
was.
there was something there,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
I
I
was
agree with
like,
you.
yeah, like there could have been something really cool, and then I mean, they were just unfortunately in a mess of a movie where you couldn't really go anywhere with it. But there was like
Yeah,
a feeling of potential there.
yeah. It did. I agree with you totally. Like I feel like there were moments where it was like, oh, this is going to be something,
Hmm. But
but
it
then
let
it
you
wasn't.
down.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
anything.
The
Like it
movie
was
let you
just
down.
like, yeah, there was. I mean, I know Will Smith is a good actor. I've seen him act well in other movies. You know, I know Margot Robbie's a good actor, and she, if anybody, did the best with what she was given.
Hmm.
And I also think what we got from the Deadshot Will Smith was not to his fault. Like I think it was the material that was lacking that didn't
Hmm.
really allow him to do anything. Like
Right.
besides, be a good shot, I guess.
Hmm.
I think the most interesting scene he was in was his introduction scene where he was like setting up a sniper thing on a rooftop, talking to a guy about how he wanted more money and like pulling off this weird trick shot to kill a dude.
Hmm.
That was like within the first 10 minutes of the movie starting. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's like one of the examples of that movie setting you up for something cool to let you down.
mhm,
Like, yeah, you were like, I'm in, like, cool. Will Smith is like working it, and then yeah, just
yeah.
yeah.
So, whereas I thought Margot Robbie slash Harley Quinn dominated that first movie, I feel like John Cena and the Peacemaker take the cake in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I agree
it's
with you.
interesting because I heard someone else saying like so because they're supposedly going to do a Peacemaker spinoff
TV
or a
series,
series or
yeah.
something like that.
Hmm.
Nice. I'd
And
watch that.
their take was, God, he's like was the weakest one. Like, why do we want to see that?
What?
He's the
Um,
most interesting. He has the
But
most potential for growth.
how is he the weakest one? Like when you think about like Polka Dot Man.
hey,
Like
I liked Polka Dot Man.
I
I
did
thought,
too, but
see,
like
Or Javelin.
there wasn't like anywhere to go. Do you
I
know what I
mean, to
mean? Like I
me,
liked what he was there for, and that was like fine, but like I didn't leave the movie thinking like, man, I'd love to know more about Polka Dot Man. Do you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
yeah,
Like I left the movie being
yeah.
like, John Cena as Peacemaker, like I could watch some more of this.
Hmm.
I
Especially if
think
like Idris Elba were to like cameo in there or something.
Hmm.
I think it's a mistake to do this spinoff most likely. Like I could be wrong and it could change it, but the to me what makes this film work is the ensemble cast. Like you need to have the other characters. You need to have them
Mm.
interact with one another in the way that they do. You
Well,
know,
John,
like
I
people
don't
that
think the TV show is going to be a one-man show. I think it's going to have other characters.
Well, okay, all right, fine. But I mean, are they going to be other? They got to be other zany characters, right? They have to match
Yeah.
him in weird scenarios in this odd, or they try to make it a more serious thing, or is he just dealing with regular people? Like, I mean, obviously they could go anywhere with it. I'm just saying, like, there's not a focus per se in this. Obviously, Harley gets plenty of time to shine. Obviously, we kind of go through this from the position of Bloodsport, you
Mhm.
know, but we get pieces of everyone, and it is an ensemble cast. They all are important there, and if you took away two of them, it'd be a lot less of a film for it. So if we have just Peacemaker as the one weird zany guy that's doing some missions, I think that's going to be boring unless we really get another zany cast of odd situations and
Hmm.
people to
Well,
match them up against.
the TV series, from what I've pulled together at the 11th hour here before we started airing, was that it's like a 8 episode season, and it um, mostly centers around and it's written and created by James Gunn, so it's going to be like
Oh, nice.
continuation of what he did with the movie, so it's not like somebody else is
Okay,
taking the reins and creating something from what he created.
that's good.
So I
Yeah.
would imagine he has a vision for what he wants to do with this character after the movie.
Wait a minute.
So
Someone in
that
Hollywood has a plan for their content? Like, I'm confused. Like,
yeah,
don't we
right.
just like kind of do this shit like however we feel like it, whenever?
Do something and then
Uh,
figure out the rest later. Like,
yeah,
hey, if it's
right.
a success, then we can, you know,
Well, that
then we
is
Yeah.
can come out
that
with
is
another 2 movies. Then we can come out with The Empire Strikes Back. Once we know we've found our cash cow, we can create 2 more movies and try to get
Yeah.
more of that sweet green.
I was gonna say that is the
Mm-hmm.
DC way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then just milk that cow till it's dry.
Udder is just saggy boob.
Hmm.
Yep. Uh okay. Yeah. Well, okay. I'm more excited now. You've convinced me. So, yeah.
And I think there's, from the cast list, it looks like there's a few returning characters from the movie,
Okay.
but not the anti-hero characters. It looks like it's the whatever, the handlers.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Hmm.
They
So
were
like,
they were a, like a small like gem in this.
yeah.
Like that was like enough of everybody there at whatever agency with Amanda
Hmm.
Waller.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
forget what it is.
I thought that could be interesting. Is like him kind of working more exclusively with them as sort of like a team, and you know they were
Yeah.
funny enough commenting while the Suicide Squad was running through their whatever their op.
Sure. Well, are we missing something? Feel like we've had a little bit of a variety. We all enjoyed it, but to
Mhm.
varying degrees. And Shane, you were a good sport and go back and watch the original one.
I
Yeah.
figured if I
Did
didn't
you
watch
like
it
it?
now for this, I would never see it. So
Yeah, that's true.
And now you know
Probably.
you never have to see it again.
exactly, and I never will. I don't care. Director's cut, forget it. I'll read the Cliff's notes on that one. So,
I'll watch it for you, and
oh,
I'll
thanks,
let you
Jeff.
know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
If we
Appreciate it.
ever
So
get it, if there's ever
it's
the
not gonna
swell that
happen.
there was for
Yeah,
Snyder.
I think it's done. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know Ayers is like, I'm not talking about it anymore, except to say like this wasn't the
I'm not
movie
talking
I
about it.
made. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not gonna talk about not talking about it. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
So we don't know anything about what it was supposed to be.
Like
We just
plot
know there was
wise,
a
no. Yeah, there's just sort of like hints about what happened on the cutting room floor.
yeah. We just know there was a lot more Joker and
Mhm.
Harley footage shot.
Mhm.
They said like another movie's worth of footage was shot that just
Mhm.
none of it was used.
Yep.
Hmm.
So
Which
so
is
much
why
Joker.
yeah, which is why a lot of like the first one felt like really choppy and like suddenly we're here and suddenly we're like,
But you can
going on
see
this
it
like little
again
side mission. Yeah.
Mhm.
running into a thing where they're calling it the Suicide Squad, but if it's just going to be about Harley and the Joker, shouldn't it just be like Harley and the Joker?
Yeah.
You know, Joker and the Harley Quinn. That's what it could be, and then that movie could set up a potential Suicide Squad thing. It's
Mhm.
very much like Birds of Prey. It was called Birds of Prey, and it's
But it
not
was
Birds
really
of Prey
Harley's. Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
It's a Harley movie.
And then they
So
retroactively renamed the movie when it was in theaters to try to draw more people in to see it by making I think they changed the title. They changed it from Birds of Prey being the main name to Harley Quinn colon Birds of Prey.
really,
Oh, really?
Mhm.
I didn't
Yeah.
hear that.
I
Yeah, they
mean,
should have
I
just
wouldn't
stuck
be
with that from the
surprised.
beginning. I
Mhm.
mean, like it's definitely a misnomer for like what you're getting.
Yeah.
I do have to say I enjoyed that film far more than I enjoyed Suicide Squad.
I did
Um,
too. I did too. I did not as many times did I pause the movie just to see how much time was left as I did when I watched Suicide Squad.
yeah.
Like I think I only did it one time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there were certainly issues with it. I'm not saying like, "Oh my god, it was so good." But like there were a lot more elements that I was like, "Yeah, like this is a little bit more fun. This is a little bit better put together.
Mhm.
More narratively made sense. Like
Mhm.
do I wish they could have done like X, Y, and Z better? Definitely.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, at least it was a better showing than
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
It definitely didn't they learned I feel like they at least learned some lessons from Suicide Squad, and they
Mhm.
weren't taking themselves as seriously,
Right.
clearly.
Right.
I think I lost my camera.
Looks like it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sorry, you froze a little bit, but
Yeah, I just
at least you're not, like,
I
frozen
enjoyed it enough.
mid-sneeze face.
That yep, I enjoyed it enough too. I just it's a shame what they did to the Birds of Prey. Like we
Yeah,
could have had a really cool Birds of Prey movie, and we didn't have that. We
yep,
had
Mhm.
an okay Harley Quinn movie that
yep.
featured some vaguely similar Birds of Prey characters.